get back on their feet, or that SSG, cool down? I think it's the former. So sure, we're probably going to see a better TSM this map, but I don't know. Even if TSM are looking like old TSM, I think the damage has been done, and now we're on Club SSG's playground. I'm envisioning a 2-0.
I can't say I disagree, unfortunately, but TSM are also TSM. They won this qual before. They've been so consistent internationally. I mean, again, if there's any team, any opponent SSG are facing that could come back, it would be TSM. Ban phase now done and dusted, and a little surprise at the end there. A little tease of what might be to come. Because, Harrison, we got Thatcher, Hibana, Valkyrie. I mean, you could rip away the name Clubhouse and just have a blank space. And if you saw those 3 bans, I mean, you might have an idea it's Clubhouse, but you wouldn't be shocked if it was another map. Then you see the Bandit come through with that Thatcher off the board.
It's like Skyscraper ban. Like that's like the only map we see Bandit banned now. And the fact that it's not necessarily that Bandit is banned, right? Because we see him sometimes on Sky. Oh, he's really powerful on Club. But why a Bandit ban with a Thatcher? Because when Thatcher's banned, that means Cade is almost exclusively going to take over. So I'm really curious as to what TSM's thought process is with that.
I mean, what we see teams do sometimes, and this is kind of, because, when you think of Bandit on Clubhouse, you think of, somebody Bandit tricking Plat Wall or a bathroom or jacuzzi wall. We've also seen a strat kind of develop over the past year where you almost bunker around the whole map, reinforce Plat Wall, reinforce jacuzzi, and set up 4 Bandit batteries on those. So maybe they're, don't want potentially SSG to set up a complete impervious structure on the top floor, and they're worried about that. But I'm also curious as well. But still, Bandit is not on the board, so if TSM do want to go for some hard breaching in the first 6 rounds, or hard breach denial, excuse me, it's going to have to be either that Mute or that Cade, neither of which they are bringing. And SSG going for that full clear with Thatcher banned. They've decided to put Yeti on the map, but they don't need him right now, because Bosco has that exothermic. They'll open up Flat Wall and likely begin part of their takeover here, but also rotate over to Jacuzzi, open up that wall as well, maybe pinch out any roamers on the top floor, namely are Merc and Bolo at the moment.
Oh, Merc destroys Bosco. The free frag attempt comes in from Faulty. Solo HP, but he eventually wins the fight, but can't land the second. Achieve rotates into garage to assist his teammate. And TSM, they're awake. What a wake-up call on Bank, and what a resounding success on that roam to start things off.
Didn't exactly expect Merc to hit that shot, and they didn't expect Achieve to come out from pretty much nowhere and get that trade as well. So SSG now going for that full clear in the first minute, something that they have not seen up until this point, at least in this match. An opening duel not going their way. A roam from TSM succeeding so far in the early round. Everyone retreats. Everyone pulls back from that second floor down to maybe max main stairs on the first floor. If that, and no, not even that. Though, how did I say that? Did my eyes? Okay, no, that's somebody in dirt. I thought somebody was in kitchen for a second, and I was like, surely not somebody sitting inside of kitchen. But no, everyone has pulled back. It is now a 4v3 with TSM bunkering, and SSG onto the back foot. They're going to have to open up these hatches and open up any of those walls with the Selmas. And once they do that, there will not be a lot of time left. This is where TSM thrive.
Yeah, I mean, they've lost their Thermite. At least they've got Maverick and Ace, and some of those hard hatches are already open. I think the main issue is going to be opening up Kitchen Hatch, but Hot and Cold doesn't even care. He's going to work to open Church. So Hard Breach still certainly in play. Openings being opened by SSG. And a drop coming through onto Moto, but Achieved has a response. The C4 meets Rampy as soon as he drops in, yet he can't spot the Azami through the toxic gas, and that leaves Hot and Cold alone in a 1 versus 4. And after 7 rounds of crippling defeat, TSM are poised to take this one back. Hot and Cold might have something to say about it as he dusts Achieved, but with the time so low, pretty much impossible to get all three kills with how spread out TSM are. Lands a nice headshot onto Bolo, but you can tell he's not operating off of very much intel, and eventually he succumbs to the crossfire. So TSM bounce back on round 1 of Club.
And end SSG's 7-0 win streak so far. Kind of weird that win streak is that low, but it just goes to show how dominant that previous game was. And TSM on that roam, once you do that much damage to SSG so early on, winning an attack on Clubhouse Basement, which is typically the site that the attack has the most problems with on Clubhouse, is going to be difficult. You still have your hard breaching. You might not have Hibana, but you still have those Selma charges to open up some of those walls. Still have that Maverick breaching torch to open up some of those hatches. But in a 3v4, you have to try to take control of blue, and then also try to flood in to either kitchen or moto. And because you're going to have somebody blue, it's a necessary part of any clubhouse attack if it's, well, from kitchen or moto. That's only 2 players dropping down that hatch, and if that blue player doesn't get the kill, which often on clubhouse attack, they don't, you're kind of screwed at that point.
Now we work on to Gym for TSM, which has certainly come into its own as the secondary site. Now that cache is not necessarily as favorable. As with any 3-tiered map, though, Solus going to be really useful, especially with how much verticality there is on Clubhouse. So Achieved likely going to be playing around this middle floor on the solo lurk. SSG still bringing a lot of hard breach. Even with Ace and Thermite, they still think that they need that Maverick. I mean, there's no wall denial though, so maybe a slight waste of a pick.
Oh, maybe you could argue a slight waste of a pick, but with SSG, or like for TSM, excuse me, you're going to try to get aggressive likely, especially after that roam on the first round. It's good to bring some redundancy, and if they do end up bringing a Cade, that Maverick obviously will help, but if you lose Bosco early on like they did last time, you got to be happy you have that Maverick as a backup, even if there's no hard breach denial to speak of that you might actually need to use that breaching torch for, and only that breaching torch for. They'll start over on the construction and plat side of things just as before, while also having a couple players over by Jacuzzi. Ooh. But Achieved trying to channel some rampy energy from last round. Might hear the repel. He's got the impacts to burst open that barricade. I don't know what he is cooking right now, but he gets away from Achieved, who impacts out and just barely misses his opportunity as SSG gets safe ground on the top floor.
As it was maybe a little bit of a bait play, yet he was trying to get Achieved to run out so he can get a free pick. But again, no wall denial means that Bosco is going to be able to breach for free, and Yeti, attempting to run on through, dies to it. At least Fultz has some kind of trade. Bosco answers, make that 2 for Fultz, but Achieved refrags. 2v2. Fultz low on HP, hot and cold, stuck in Gym, taking the fight against Achieved, but those floor holes work wonders for the defense, and it's another for the Solus as TSM lock out the site.
To give credit to SSG there, had Bosco not incinerated Yeti, or Yeti incinerated himself, depending on the sequence of events that transpired on Jacuzzi balcony, that was a round that could have gone their way. You saw how well they were able to play those trades, and after Bosco did kill Yeti with that exothermic, was still able to deal with the player inside a bathroom. So that could have been a very winnable round, and was a very winnable round for SSG, even with that team kill occurring. But they went about things very standard on Gym and Bedroom. Have a couple players pushing from Plat and Con, and having a couple players push from Jacuzzi. And often, that just comes down to trades if you aren't able to push any defenders out of their positions, or if none of the roamers give away their lives. In this case, aided by the team kill, TSM were just the ones that came out on top.
Feel bad for Yeti. But, it's a 2-0 lead. And now Bar comes into play. TSM avoiding having to play Cash, at least for now. Echo, a very powerful operator here. He's usually going to sit in Strip Club. Achieved is just staring at these drones. Oh, is he going to be able to peek it? Oh.
He wants it.
No. Guess not. Nobody's on site, as is typical with Bar, though. Everyone's upstairs.
I mean, I gotta appreciate the dedication from Achieved right there. You know, even thinking about going for that drone. He's taken his role of Solus very seriously. We saw him go for that run out last time to take someone out on the rappel, and he's looking in prime position to do it again at that kitchen door, but Fultz, he's looking a little towards it right now. Maybe a little bit concerned. He'll open it, but have SSG done their homework? Have they droned this out? Fultz likely about to do so. He'll move into kitchen. He's looking upstairs right now. And oh, just at the last second, spots Achieved down below. The main roamer for TSM right now, providing, well, I guess not even necessarily some of that, pressure on the attack at the moment, as the main thing that SSG will have to focus on is clearing out that top floor, and also Gasher inside a strip, and those Yokais can always be a problem for anybody, especially TSM or SSG, who are so focused on getting those bombs.
And especially a team that, up against Reality TV, were a bit slow. They let things get down to the wire, and that's where Echo is the most powerful. Those Yokai's stocks increase as the round progresses. Gasher, who's solo holding in strip, though, his walls felled away by Hot and Cold, might be feeling a little bit more exposed, but for now, SSG more focused on this top floor roam, as you highlighted. The reinforcement on Khan protects this Azami. That's why Yeti's preparing to open it, but they're just whittling away at the Kiba barriers for now, I guess. Bosco opening up that single panel is going to start to force those Con players back.
Unlikely. Maybe they could even just try to go for this half clear right here, not even clear all the way across the top floor. Just keep Bolo and the Castle Snake, Merc, the Smoke contained on that top floor with Hot and Cold, watching from Jacuzzi to see if anybody rotates. They have the minimal control they do need to get an execute down, but they also need to be wary of those Yokais, any plant denial, and any vertical control that TSM could try to retake from SSG. But the first kill goes, and it's the player farthest away from the site. Achieve goes down, but SSG come out on top.
Yeti, another kill as well, but Bolo lands a nice headshot onto Rampy, equalizing us until Hot and Cold refrags, but Snake has another response. It's trades back and forth, leaving us in a 2v2. Gasher and Snake, the new blood for TSM, up against Yeti and Fultz. The Dokkaebi still with a call in pocket. All the flashbangs still remaining. There goes the final logic bomb. Here's the swing, but Snake gets away. Only eats a bullet, but they've got pings. They've got him cornered. Here comes Fultz taking the aggressive push. Finally, no, not gonna win the fight. Gasher's coming in for the assist, and the whiff from Fultz may just lose them around, unless Yeti's got something to say about it, but Gasher peeks up. The final 2 kills, assisting Snake when it mattered most, and TSM are up 3-0.
2 winnable rounds now for SSG, one based off strategy and the other based off a single gunfight. And in a series and in a map especially, those can be the rounds where if this game gets close, SSG will look back and say that was where we could have closed it out in the long run. But of course, for that round, they got the control they were looking for. All they wanted to do was take Khan, take Cash, and then have Hot and Cold on Jacuzzi to watch the roamers once they get aggressive. But once SSG went for those kills and started getting traded out, Hot and Cold ends up dying. It ends up boiling down to a 2v2, and you need Fultz to win that fight, and he ends up losing it. And now, Harrison, the defense in this series is 10 rounds to 1 singular attacking victory between Bank and Clubhouse right now. And when the maps are Bank and Clubhouse, and the attack has only managed to get 1 victory, what the hell is going on today?
I have no idea. The SSG are certainly going to look to flip the script in the last 3 rounds of the half. Now attacking onto the basement against a very different TSM defense. Before, they were stacked up with the Capcan, the Solus, all upstairs. Now, this is one of the bunker heaviest site setups we've seen in this series, except with Bolo on the roam and a couple reinforcements to assist. But otherwise, Wamai, Echo, Pulse, mainly focused around that site setup. TSM are slightly extended, but again, they're likely not playing too aggressively, not really playing for fights, mainly just going to be shooting drones and falling back. I would have to imagine, unless Snake has other ideas.
I mean, listen, he might be emboldened after that previous round. He's like, maybe we got something here. Maybe we got a winning strategy. Bolo playing the same spot as he did before, and Merc will provide that intel on that slight extension, as you mentioned. Sees 2 outside of Plat wall, so he's not going to be the one to dome Bosco outside of Plat this time. But Bolo's decided, neither is he. They will, in fact, fall back, Harrison, after that first minute. Now everyone bunkering on the site. They know SSG will have to go for that full clear. They'll have to go and drone out the whole map, take all that control manually, and then open all those hatches, and then try to set up. Might as well let them waste their own time, and also, while you're at it, use the 2 C4s you have and the 4 impact grenades you have. Try and get some damage from down below.
Who still got Cade in play too, so like I said, TSM, I thought they were going to go for the fights, but ended up not being so. SSG also having to waste the thermite upstairs means that Bosco's second is going to be on blue, and now he is completely out of hard breach. Hot and Cold, of course, evading the electro claws by virtue of the torch, working to open Moto. Gasher is looking to grab the peak. If Yeti's not careful enough,
so close.
He could be the next death, but Gasher's not watching the right angle at the right time. Yeti is able to get the hatch, and Gasher falls back with about a minute now remaining for SSG to get the push.
And using that second Electro Claw onto the triple panel inside a church, that was what SSG used those Selmas for last time. So getting those open will likely require some nades, and unlikely a Maverick. I mean, if they went for the Mav there, Harrison, that would be pretty insane, considering the angles you could get inside a church. But the first 2 kills happen, and neither team gets the lead. That Mav goes down, so you're gonna need to nade over that wall to destroy that Cade, but your main set of nades right now is focused on taking blue, focused on winning that fight, so opening up that triple panel might not be possible because of Fultz being the player they've decided will clear out blue.
And they're setting up for a dirt take now, with Hot and Cold rotating over. And I think Rampy on the drone, but a nade, no! Poorly cooked. I think if Fultz maybe cooked it a little bit longer, he gets a freebie there, but now Kiva's coming out to stop the hatch drop, and Achieved is dead. Hot and Cold grabs the kill. I think someone just dropped the hatch. Rampy's going up, running rampant in the site. Fultz gets one, Rampy the last, and SSG off a hatch drop just barrel their way into sight and take their first attacking win.
I gotta be honest with you, that did not look like that round was trending towards an SSG victory based on how that was going. What was that, a 20-second? You were like, oh, it's a dirt take. And I'm like, oh, they indeed are very quickly rotating to dirt with only 25 seconds left. And then they just drop down 2 hatches. And in this case, the blue player manages to win. The hatch player dropping in kitchen manages to win those fights, and Rampy just sprints down main or drops or wherever the hell he entered from, is running completely rampant inside of the site. SSG did not have a lot going for them in that round, to be perfectly frank. They cleared up the second floor, they opened up those hatches, that's what you expect the team to do. But a lot of what they normally aim for on a church attack, they did not have, and they still just won enough of gunfights. And now, we have our first attacking win on Clubhouse.
Is that what SSG needs? Is that going to completely flip the momentum? Are we going to see the start of a rally? Or TSM, they've got a chance to shut them down and say, you know what? Yeah, one's all you get. Playing Jim, but extending all the way towards cash, as most Jim defenses do. Hot and Cold, Bosco, and Yeti still on the triple hard breach, which is, again, I mean, it's not like it's harmed them, so why not?
They are usually losing out on a set of nades, though. Though I suppose Fultz could have picked that Yana. Instead, he opted to go for the Ash. Same weapon, G36, but different kit and different operator. And they still have 2 for Rampy, who will likely be focused on the... Oh, no. Well, that's unlucky. Hey, it happens. You go for that hatch, maybe try to go for the angle behind that chain wall, but you gotta go. And you still get the opening pick. Hot and Cold's able to take down Achieve down below. This is not a CCTV defense, by the way. This is a gym bedroom defense, but Achieve has been the main roamer on that Solus throughout this game. He gets a little aggressive, and he's punished for it.
And taking the Solus out this early is really helpful, because now you can feel a little bit safer going for that plant. Now your drones are going to be safer as well, and SSG killed her with 8 drones still up. So they don't have to worry about that scanner. Hot and Cold, though, is on the floor thanks to a frost mat at the top of the garage stairs. So what is, in essence, now 2 free downs in the favor of TSM. Yeti now ascends the staircase, sees there's no angle, and reses Hot. And so at the very least, they still have all 5 guns up, but certainly a lot of HP off the board.
And this clear has taken a lot more time as a result. Even if it doesn't seem like a lot in the moment, now what, 10, 15 seconds total to rotate over and pick up those players, and they're just now opening up that wall to cash, and we only have 1:15 left. TSM did lose that body earlier, but Bolo's still getting aggressive, looking to take down anybody that enters Plat. Yeti the first to go instead, as Gasher's the one that undoes him with this crossfire on Plat wall. This is looking rough for SSG.
There's more Kibas going out to freeze them in place and stop them from taking in Red Hall. Faults now on the ground because Snake goes downstairs to support, so there's no more Red walk up. What are SSG gonna do? They've got someone in garage rafters, but they're not pushing just yet. All the flashes are missing. Bosco runs right into the line of sight, and Bolo's good for 2. Hot and cold, the last one left, and Bolo with 3 makes TSM 4-1.
And a 7-0 on Bank has not looked like it has scared them in any way, shape, or form after that game. SSG as well, struggling to get a lot of the control they want. And that is how you deal with SSG. Constantly during the reality TV game, Harrison, I was sitting back with the desk, we're talking, what do reality TV need to do to fight back? And the answer, especially from Lax, was, well, they need to stop SSG from getting their game plan set in the first place. You need to stop the SSG from setting up the positions, because once you let SSG get what they want, let them set up the execute they want, they'll collapse on you, and there's nothing you can do. And that's what TSM are doing. Is it always successful? No. Individually, we saw Achieve get picked off pretty easily by Hot and Cold. But what was the strategy there? Hold red, hold cash as long as you can, stop SSG at the door, and not let them get the control they're looking for. And that is how TSM have won these rounds.
Absolutely. Now TSM looking to lock down a 5-1 half on Church.
5 seconds to insertion.
They're 1-1 on the site. They don't want to go back to bar, and I don't blame them. Rocking the Capcan and the Solus and the Mozzie, so once again, a heavy roam that SSG are going to have to deal with. And Carter, Yeti is rocking the dreaded Nomad on Club, and Rampy is dead because he didn't drone dirt properly.
Well, that's not the start you would like to have on round number 6. Because now TSM have that opening pick, which, by the way, if we want to, you know, that was a very delayed question mark. If we want to extrapolate this series overall, TSM are still very much down in the dumps on opening picks. SSG leading them by... Well, that's unfortunate.
So TSM with the 2 opening picks, I guess, with Yeti's DC. Now there's
cyber warfare.
There's no more Nomad. No.
I mean, hey, listen, TSM has been getting very aggressive. Those air jabs could very well have stopped the run out. That could have happened.
That's certainly true. It's just that, you know, people meme about Nomad on Club and her not being very useful. But if you have a strategy for it, she could be very good. However, SSG don't have her because of the DC. They're left with a couple hard breachers and faults, so a lot of utility at their disposal at the very least. Bosco used 2 of those Selma breaches to open a hatch. Hot and Cold used a thermite charge to, I think, also open a different hatch. Fultz has... Is this his last Rotero? It's either his last one or it's close to it. He'll be able to spot the Azami behind Jen, but not deal with any utility. Okay, so that was his second last. He's got 1 more. SSG are just kind of walking around the map, gathering info, trying to see, you know, in a 3v5 that's already not very winnable, what's going to give them the best opportunity?
And that's the problem with this situation right now, is it's going to rely a lot on TSM yielding an opening to SSG, giving them an opportunity that they are not at all in the position to give them. They are all crowded on the site. So Hot and Cold lurking, he might just find someone behind AKs. There are no nades to speak of for SSG, so no explosives to avoid a gunfight, but they still put Bolo to 1 HP, and with flashbangs coming through, maybe they can get these 2 kills with Gasher low and now dead.
Hot and Cold with the kill from Dirt, but now they know he's there, and Bolo not able to get behind Jen. Bosco equalizes. Hot and Cold's got case, though, and he's stuck here thanks to Achieved holding the 90-degree angle. Utility starts to funnel through. SSG are now in blue as well. In comes Fultz lit up, and Bosco downed by the EEDs. Hot and Cold eats some more damage. Merc finishes the downed Bosco, and Hot and Cold, he's just got to go for the plant, but he's exposed, and it's actually Merc, I think, who finished him, not the Capcan.
Well, that was honestly a sad way to end that half, not just because of the DC, which obviously made that round much, much less winnable for SSG than it otherwise might have. But because that round still was very winnable after the disconnect, able to be patient on blue, throw those flashes to work Bolo out of position, get that kill, and then Hot and Cold is also able to make his lurk in dirt work as well. Those are the two picks you needed to mitigate both the opening kill and the DC for Yeti. And what does it end to? What does the comeback end with? Not TSM fighting back and winning those gunfights, but 2 EDDs. And to be fair, Harrison, with a very hectic round, a player DCing, and just barely being able to claw it back, letting some Kapkan EDDs slip by is something that is probably just going to happen.
Especially with them being so close to sight. I mean, that's what you're playing for as the Cap. That was a smart position for a Chief to put them in. So it's 5-1. Not quite as dominant as we saw SSG's defense on Bank, but almost. Still really rough to come back from if you're SSG. Luckily, they've got the defensive side now. Maybe this is just a super defender-heavy clubhouse. A TSM not opting for the same strategy. Bringing a Lion out. So no true, I shouldn't say no true, but no like classic entry like an Iano or an Ashe from TSM. I think it'll probably be mainly like Snake and Achieved to work those entries. Bolo, of course, with Yin can help out as well, and they're only bringing 2 hard breachers.
Of course, you also have Merc, who typically fills that entry, and once Ace uses all those Selmas, he doesn't have any more utility he might need to stay alive for and maybe to use later on. So he can always be that de facto entry. Once he uses all those Selmas, he can then just move on further into the round. And they will have to maybe put some pressure on Yeti early on, roaming around inside of Cash. Not necessarily to kill him, but at least to push him back. Achieved is now dropped, and I think 3 whole players over by Jacuzzi will now join him on that top floor, but everyone has fallen back. Yeti, Hot and Cold, now down on that first floor. Only one left was Rampy, and he is now down there as well. So only 1 minute in has this now turned from a full roam on the top floor to a complete bunker for the remainder of round 7.
I also love the play for SSG. Like, even though they already dropped Oil Pit off the roam and were like 30 feet from sight, they still stood still. They were like, we are not giving you that info for free. TSM can drone it themselves. It's almost like, obviously, like, it's the correct... I also want to say it's, like, petty.
It's a little petty. It's a little petty.
It's pretty funny. But now with a minute 20, TSM, I mean, they've got a decent bit of time to do all this work. They can start working the vert with this sledge. Achieved, free to do as he pleases. 1 to C4 that he has to be careful of. But, I mean, as long as he evades Boscos, he's going to have a heyday.
Having these hatches usually takes time, especially if they're cated. It's going to cost you some HP as well, so that could be a whole 20 seconds that Gasher will spend total trying to open it up. Another EE1D comes out, and all of SSG are set up in their positions. TSM will try to open up that triple panel, and that could be problematic, but you hear the C4 fly over. Doesn't get any kills, but Hot and Cold still gets the first one, and if SSG are hoping to play trades in the late round with low time, they now have the advantage they were looking for.
He got that kill with an impact nonetheless. Makes you wonder how exactly that happened, but at least the wall is open for this attack, though it's a very small opening, one that I don't believe they can move through. Candelas start to come out from Bolo to herald his way into blue. They've got pings as well, thanks to the Lion scan. Those players might be blind, but Bolo's not acting off of it, and Gasher can't make his way through. Merc at least has an equalizer as he kills Rampy, but Gasher falls next, and now you've lost case control, but Bolo and Snake are putting together some kills. False hit in the back will shotgun down the Lion, but he's in a 2v1 as Bolo has killed the other site player. What happened for SSG? They were in the lead, but Bolo working in saves it.
The round differential at the end of this game is going to be insane for both of these teams based on how these two maps have gone. SSG going into this up 7 in map count in round count because only 7 rounds were played. Now, Harrison, they're down. I can't do the math in my head real quick. But either way, it's no longer +7. That's the point I'm making. It's about even between these two teams now because TSM have fought back and got 6 in a row. Well, 6 total. And moved to match point as a result. You get the point I'm making. And now, Harrison, we're in a world where both teams could take their opponent's map pick basically in about the length of a long best of 1. That is very strange. Not something that happens often in a Rainbow Six. And yet, if TSM are able to win 1 clubhouse attack, just 1, Just one singular clubhouse attack. That's what will happen.
Actually, yeah, TSM win this. It'll be an 8-round game following a 7-round game. That's 15 rounds. That's just a max OT best of 1.
5 seconds remaining.
Well, do SSG have a response? They're going back down to the basement. The retry of Church, but with a different philosophy. Looking to roam a lot heavier with Rampy, Faults, Hot and Cold, maybe even Yeti assisting, who knows? But TSM are, of course, wise to it. They're not going to rush. They're not going to just bypass it. They are looking to full clear now with Bolo on Ashe and Achieved on Buck. So should they get that full top floor control, we'll be looking at another relatively standard attack.
And they'll start on that top floor. Ooh, Achieved just dodging the fate that Rampy found himself succumbing to. And he'll get that angle, but oh no! Yeti gets the best of him inside of Logic. He is a knower. He knows what Achieved is trying to do. That's another opening pick going SSG's way. Again, you wouldn't tell by the score between, well, in this map in particular, that SSG are still dominantly leading TSM in opening picks between these two maps. And yet they are, and TSM are on match point nonetheless. They will move in to that top floor, into that second floor, to maybe approach with a different, philosophy, Harrison. Maybe they'll switch things up. Maybe put Merc in a different position than Bolo was. They still need to go for this full clear. Still need to acquire that vertical control. So for the next 45 seconds to a minute, it's going to be kind of a replay of the last round.
Yeah, what is the entry right now? Like 5-2, 6-2, or 5-3 or 6-2, something like that.
Something like
Pretty
that.
sure. SSG are still in the
There were a couple hectic rounds where I wasn't quite sure who got the opening pick.
Yeah, the only one I don't have recorded is round 2 when Yeti killed himself with a thermite charge. So I don't know how the stats count that. But either way, TSM losing the entry pick in this round have lost a really important part of their attack. It's Buck. It's their only soft breacher. Wow! Talk about threading the needle. That was just impressive. Rampy smokes Gasher off the face of the earth. And now you've lost your soft breacher and your hard breacher. So you're just going to be walking through doorways.
I mean, thankfully for them, part of that triple panel is open, but thankfully for SSG, it's a 5v2 now. So Bolo and Snake, the latter, completely shut off from entering main stairs at the moment because of that toxic canister. Now have to win this entirely by kills. There's a Kiba barrier in Bolo's way, so he'll show his feet the moment he crosses, but Snake has still managed to get that first kill while being stuck on bottom main because of those toxic canisters. It's hard to give and prescribe an exact way for them to win this, Harrison. It's just plain and simple gonna have to be a miracle.
Yeah, it looked like Hot Gold just exposed himself, overexposed himself a little bit. Rampy's got a really nice hole though, staring at blue, and then another staring at main. I think that was 3 kills on the round for Rampy. SSG take their first defensive victory, but they still got 4 more to go.
Both their round wins now on Church, of course, one being on attack, one now being on defense. And as you said, that being their first win on defense. So logically, they will follow it up with a play on Gym. Saw a little bit more of an aggressive roam, I'd say, Harrison, but just a little bit from SSG. Just enough to get that first kill, and then they quickly fell back. On Gym Bedroom, that might not be the case. We'll likely see them push a little bit further into Con, a little bit further into Cash, but at the same time with TSM, they have been very aggressive. They have not been daunted by any means. So I'm interested to see how this early round is going to go between these two teams, because this might be the first time that TSM will have to face a more structured extension by SSG, and maybe SSG, in that case, will not be able to continue their dominance in the opening pick.
I was kind of hoping we were going to see the Ying Glass combo come out again. They're just teasing it. They're teasing it.
5 seconds to insertion.
I'm not gonna lie. As much as it sucked to play, I kind of liked watching Ying Glass meta. I always thought it was fun.
So it was chaotic.
It was, and as an old Glass player, it warmed my heart to see him be useful. Finally, but those days are long gone. I mean, Glass is still somewhat useful, just not as dominant as he once was. They'll swap to the Ace and the Flores instead. A much more grounded lineup. Plenty of good utility options, especially, being on Gym. You would love to bring multiple hard breachers just in case, especially with the Cade on the board and the Con wall being reinforced. Plus, there's that Flores. So the shield that Hot and Cold is bringing should be dealt with pretty soon.
Yep. No roam inside of Khan or Cash, so TSM will get the control they are looking for. And there's often sometimes the problem with impact EMPs. Very small radius, very small explosive radius. You might have to burn 2 because you end up missing the first one. It's also the only set of impact EMPs that TSM had, and only one gets opened up as the Cade Claw reactivates. But Merc still has a couple more Selmas. So TSM will continue with this east side clear, undaunted so far. Because SSG are all playing so far back, Harrison, it's probably going to be a good long while before we see some action, unless Rampy, potentially unnoticed down below, has something in mind.
There's a ton of info available for Rampy right now. There was one drone there, but was there anyone watching it? Hot and Cold, though, certainly being watched from one of those windows. He's lit up to about 25-ish HP. Snake is on a flank drone. That's going to prompt Rampy to fall back, at least for now. He'll probably be working a late flank, maybe around the 45-second mark or so. Certainly once TSM starts setting up for their execute, but he'll back off. TSM still have a lot of work. They're opening some barricades, but the main wall is not open. And what a C4! Holy crap! Long arm from Bosco, but immediately responded by Achieve, thanks to a nade onto Hot and Cold. The main threat still is going to be Rampy lurking underneath.
And still right now for TSM, they only have a couple small windows and doorways to enter from. Not able to open Jacuzzi Wall and not able to gain an advantage either. SSG have kept it 3v3, but with logic control and site control now, SSG are starting to put the brakes on TSM. 2v1, Achieved alone inside of the site.
Diffuser down too. Bosco was watching it, but opted to play for the time instead, knowing that his teammate downstairs is going to have constant eyes on where this plant attempt is going to be, and Achieved on a soft floor could fall victim. Bosco just around the corner. Again, plays for time. SSG know they don't have to peek him, and eventually he just swings around the corner. The TCSG doing the work for Bosco. 3 kills for the Cade. And SSG with 2 rounds in a row, now 3 to go for OT.
And they're beginning to mount a comeback, not based on playing too aggressive, but by receding into the site, into the immediate area around the site, and then having Rampy be the main person to lurk and do any aggressive work that they might need to. That worked on Jim, and a very quick fallback after a kill, to be fair. Worked on Church as well, but now we go to Bar, Harrison, and I thought we might see an extension from SSG on Jim. But now we definitely need to see at least some of one on Bar and Stage. You can't just defend this site by doing a basically complete 5-man bunker safe, maybe one guy off site. You're gonna need to hold upstairs. You're going to need to play in gym and bedroom. But if they're still able to just hold that central area inside gym and bedroom and not peek too far out and give SSG or give TSM an opening, this could be another feather in their cap in what could be a comeback in the works.
How do you know?
I don't. That's the sad thing. Because
how do you know that you can't full 5-man on Bar? Have you ever seen someone try it?
I have not seen someone try it. I will give you that. However, I got a good feeling that if you tried to fit everyone in Bar, which is like mainly an open space, save for 2 walls and like a desk, it's gonna be a little difficult.
I would love to see that. You know what? That's what we got to do next ranked escapade. Full 5-man in Bar. As he to do it.
I like having a good win log, so I think I will pass.
Oh, I do not care. I'm an active troller when it comes to ranked. Bosco spotted playing upstairs, right in that gold rotate. Of course, he's the smoke, so he's not going to be tasked with holding down sight, but delaying this top floor clear as much as possible. Maestro, also an operator, we don't see terribly often, but on Bar and open area, he finds a lot of use, and the Candela's coming in, blinding Bosco. Rampy dead thanks to Gasher. Bolo jumping in, now refrag, but Bolo... Sorry, that wasn't Bolo jumping in and getting refrag. That was Merc. I'm so used to Bolo on the Ying. And TSM, after quite a quick entry upstairs, find themselves in a 4v2 advantage, primed and ready to finish the match.
I mean, since the 5-1 half, since they switched to attack, and since they went up 6-1 after round 7, that's the start we've been waiting to see from TSM. Ooh, what a tight angle by Fultz. And if we're going to see a comeback, that'd certainly be a flashy, clean way to bring it back for SSG. But TSM have full top floor control. They have the 3v1 now, and Houghton in the 1v3. Only an Ulda and Evil Eyes to save SSG's chances on map 2.
We've seen this guy do some magical things on Maestro before, and we'll need to see it again. If SSG want any hope in coming back in the map. In comes the drop. Gasher lit up, but not finished off. Bolo now dead, but the top floor coverage simply too good for SSG to overcome. Both the last kills found by Achieved, playing the Vert, and we go to map 3.
And the desk said the only way you could describe TSM was with the solo and the mid. But finally, after 7 rounds on Bank lost, on Clubhouse, we see the team enter the fray, Harrison. We see the unit, the danger